It don't matter how talented you are. If you don't get your attitude and your body language together, nobody's going to want to work with you. Nobody's going to.
Okay. Is that true?
Sprint hard, sprint hard, sprint hard. Phoenix, you jogging. Please don't make me start you over. Speed up. Them's cute.
We need to just be honest. We just need to be transparent. We just need to have a come to Jesus moment. Man, stop all that talking. Stop all that. That was my thoughts towards my teammates. Welcome back to the Big Game Podcast. My name is Gabe, and in today's video, boy, we got a good one. We got a spicy one. This is going to make some people mad, and this is going to make some people super joyful at the style of coaching that this track coach is dishing out. And this track coach goes by the name of Sabrina Parr, and she's apparently out in Houston, has around 63,000, Instagram followers. And so I'm excited to get into this one. This video was sent to me by my wife, and she said, hey, you should check it out and you should react to it and you should give your thoughts. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's get into it.
Look at me. Look at me. It sucked towards me and it sucked towards your fuck. And even though I already talked to you about this, I need you to really feel what it feels like, know what it feels like to be disrespectful and disobedient.
Whew. Let's just pause it right there because a couple of key things. And I think she set it up to where we know what's going on. Number one, apparently this young lady was not presenting the right attitude. Go and watch my episode on Patrick Bet-David and his approach when kids were super disrespectful in his own household and how he handled it. I think you'll get a general understanding of where I come from on how I would approach it. But number one, she lays it out. You didn't have a good attitude today. And you didn't just not have a good attitude today, but you didn't have that towards your father. You didn't have that towards me. And I've already talked to you about this. See, it's one thing if it's like the first time, the first infraction, right? Where maybe you're a new participant in a program and maybe you just having a bad day, you having an off day. There's grace, there's mercy for sure. But if you're a repeat violator and this is the type of coach that you have, that she don't play no games. She's laying down the law. It don't matter how old you are, apparently, right? Typically, you don't see this with a lot of younger kids, you know. You see this with maybe some older kids, some teenagers, and where we have to have a come to Jesus moment. I know I've had these types of conversations when it comes to attitude and effort. So I'm with sis on this. But here's the question. Here's a good question to answer in the comments. Is this appropriate for this age? Okay. I want to know in the comments. I want to know your thoughts. My thoughts are, it depends. It depends on the athlete. It depends on their age of maturity, like their understanding, their comprehension, right? And what they're kind of wired for. You know, sometimes we as coaches can't be soft with our players. Not to push it too far. Not to yell at them unnecessarily, not to curse at them, not to do anything. But sometimes we need to just be honest. We just need to be transparent. We just need to have a come to Jesus moment. You know what those are. Basically, look, we done talked about this. We need to have like a real conversation about your attitude and effort. You coming to me, your parents are paying all this money, but you're not putting in that effort. And you're not coming with the right attitude, the body language. These are all key, important points to your success. And I'm trying to help you. Right? And so it just sometimes takes a softer conversation, and sometimes it takes maybe a more conflictive conversation, right? Or a stern that's a better word. A stern conversation. And I think that's what sis is doing right here. Sabrina Parr, that's her name. All right, let's keep watching.
Okay. You're doing way too much as a father out there with an attitude. You understand? So
I just want to pause it right there because I like what she said right there. He is doing way too much as a father for you to be out here. You know what that means? That means he is sacrificing. He's putting in the extra work, paying whatever fee she charges, right? For you to come out here and be the best you can be. I'm sure most of the time, parents are asking their kids, hey, do you want to do this? Right? If they say, yes, mom or dad, I want to do this. Okay, here are the expectations. Here are, the guidelines on how you should conduct yourself, whether you give out, a great attitude and a great effort and things like that. So, that's what she's bringing up. And I think that's a key thing to emphasize for some kids, is because some kids don't realize that moms and dads got to sacrifice sometimes. They got to sacrifice a whole bunch. They got to work 2 jobs. They got to do this, that, the other in order to give their kids a better opportunity, or just an opportunity in general. And so she's bringing that up. Man, let me tell you this. She is starting this young. Okay. Like I said, she did not come to play, apparently, from this video. It don't matter what age you are. You can get it. You can have this dose of reality, cast upon you early on. And again, it really depends on the child, whether or not you think this coaching is good. We haven't even got to the spicy point yet. That's just like a little preamble to what we're going to see right now. So let's get into it.
Every time you have an attitude, it's how we gonna fix it. We're gonna keep heel running. We're gonna do burpees. We're gonna do all the stuff that hurts that you don't like until we get this together.
Okay, pause. Because this, I think, is where people have a point of contention, and you're gonna have 2 different camps on this point. Is physical reinforcement or punishment suitable for kids, for athletes, to get a point across, to get them to conduct themselves in a better capacity, to get a better performance out of them, right? In this regard, she's talking about attitude and effort, right? Maybe a lack of discipline from this young athlete. I don't know, right? The young lady seems to be paying close attention right now, and good for her. Good for her. I'm glad she's listening. I think that's really, it's a good signal from her parents that, okay, adults are talking, now we're listening. Good. I like that. But is the physical punishment something that coaches should be advocates of when kids don't listen, or maybe when they don't have the best performance? I'm going to speak to my life. I've had coaches where we were talking. We were just not focused, undisciplined. All right, get on the line. You don't remember things that you should remember. Get on the line. We needed that. Have I had coaches that have pushed it too far? Absolutely. Absolutely. They just, okay, you're going to run until you can't run no more. Those days sucked. I didn't want to play the sport no more, because I'm like, what am I getting punished for? Especially if I wasn't the cause of the infraction. I wasn't the cause of that. Obviously, she's an individual right here. So I think it's balance. We got to know our kids, right? We got to know when they need a foot in their butt, proverbially. And then we got to know when to be a little bit soft, right? We got to know when to deal out grace. We need to know when to deal out mercy, but we have to be honest, and we need to teach them the ropes early on so that they can conduct themselves better later on as they get older, right? So physical reinforcement is what I'll call it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think it just depends. It depends on the maturity level of the kid. It depends on what their goals are. Did they want this level of coaching, right? Generally speaking, yeah, I think it's good to a certain degree. Again, there's good and bad. Coaches can push it too far. But I think this also gets their attention, and it associates a negative behavior with a negative consequence, right? Okay, you want to act in a certain way that is not allowed, right? It is not the best in our program. Okay, there's going to be consequences. Sometimes that's getting on the line. I know I put kids on the line. You talking too much. You don't have the best attitude. Okay, get on the line. Let's go. We going running until we out of breath and we can't talk no more, right? You huffing and puffing, and now, okay, you're listening a little bit closer, and you don't want to do that again. So let's get on the line, right? So I think there's a place for it. But again, there's also a place to where we provide grace. Is it a first-time violator, right? Someone who just got a little bit distracted. Kids do, right? We give grace. We give mercy. So that's kind of my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Is this good coaching, or is this not good coaching? Let me know in the comments. Let's keep watching.
You gonna always apologize to him. You always gonna give me a little extra. Look at me while I'm talking to you. She still ain't looking at. Still not looking. These are the little things that we gotta fix.
Okay. I've seen this. I got kids. Look at me. I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. Okay. I want your attention. Okay. Again, it could be totally done the wrong way, right? It could be more of a power thing, but I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. Okay. And if you're kind of like fidgeting and looking at this and looking at that, I don't know if I have your full attention. That's typically what coaches mean by, hey, keep your eyes over here, right? I've had many kids when they're not even in trouble. We're just talking and their eyes are going all over the place. And I'm not sure if they're really comprehending what I'm saying. And so I need to get their attention. I want you to look at me and see the words that are coming out of my mouth. Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan style. Rush Hour. For all those kids out there, it's a great movie. You should watch it if you're old enough. Anyways, so I don't have a problem with that. I think that's important, that kids give their full attention to their coaches. I know she feels frustrated. I'm talking about the athlete, the runner right here. I know she feels probably a little bit embarrassed, probably a little scared a little bit. I think having a healthy dose of reverential fear for your coach, I think it's important. It keeps us in balance. It keeps the boundaries in place, right? I think when you lose that, then you know what happens, right? It's like all chaos and anarchy. But let's continue.
It don't matter how talented you are. If you don't get your attitude and your body language together, nobody's gonna want to work with you. Nobody's gonna.
Okay. Is that true? If you don't get your attitude, your effort in line, nobody's going to want to work with you? Yeah, I say that's kind of true. I think there are exceptions. I think there are spectacular athletes out there that, they get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, 8 chances because they're so spectacular. I mean, just look at any professional sport who's had, someone who's violated, the actual law or has done something morally, irrehensible. They've gotten multiple chances because they're stud athletes and because they bring in those organizations tons and tons of money. But we're not talking about that right now. And those are not the examples that we want to follow, right? She is educating her, training her, coaching her, I'll say discipling her on how she should be, how she should act, right? She's reinforcing probably what dad is already doing at home. And I think that's so important, right? She's giving her a healthy dose of reality early on. And again, you're going to have to understand your athletes. I think from watching her content, she does this with everybody. So she's across the board the same way, which you should be. You should be consistent. Because then if you're not, and this person gets this form of coaching, and this person gets this form of coaching, right? Which is, 2 different extremes. We're not talking about balanced approaches here. Then the idea of, oh, well, that's her favorite. Oh, coach doesn't like me. No, I can coach you hard. And I've had many come to Jesus moments with my athletes that, were struggling a little bit because they weren't doing what they need to do when they said they wanted to do that. And we've had to have tough conversations. Tears were shed, frustration set in, but they know I'm there for you. I'm here to support you. Yeah, we had a tough conversation, but hey, there's mercy and grace. Okay, let's just clean it up. Let's get back to work, right? I got you. And I think that's what she does. Let's keep watching.
I want you on their team. Nobody's gonna want you in their classroom. So when I say be quiet, that means seal your lips. Do you understand? I can't hear you. Yes. All right, on the line.
That's a very common thing, kids just, get a little excited. I'll just say it like that, and they're just chirping, just talking and not focused, undisciplined, right? Lacking self-control. And, again, who are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with, kindergartners? Are we dealing with, 3 to 5-year-olds? Are we dealing with 7 to 8-year-olds, high school kids, college kids? You know what I mean? Like, I think as a coach, the easiest kids to work with are the kids that do have those, you know, home training sessions just down pack, right? Meaning that they're respectful, they come to practice, they are listening, they're attentive, right? Not to say that they can't talk ever to their friends, but when coach is talking, you're listening, right? We're not looking off into space or anything like that. We are focused on what coach is trying to convey to us, right? They have a job to do, we have a job to do. Their job is to coach us, our job is to take that instruction and try and perform it to the best of our ability. But we can't do that if we don't know what coach is saying. I've had many kids come to training sessions where their parents are paying me hundreds of dollars and they are so focused on their friends. They're so focused on talking to where they don't even know what they have to do after I give the instruction, after I give the demonstration. Why? Because they're not self-controlled. They're undisciplined in this regard. And maybe they're getting that at home where mom and dad says, hey, you should be listening. And if not, here is your invitation to start that conversation on how you should be, talking about the player, at practice with your coaches. Parents, this is something that you can incorporate into your family life, right? And it's going to translate to every other aspect of life. You try and get a job, you're running your mouth and you're not paying attention, well, you're probably going to get fired. Same thing with school. You go to school, you run your mouth, you're going to probably fail because you're not paying attention. Now, there are some kids that are just like super smart and like they don't need to, pay attention as much as they get things done. I've seen those kids, right? I'm like, how did you get an A? I don't understand this. You didn't pay attention at all. It's like, I just understand it. But when coach is talking, we're listening. We're not throwing shade. We're not throwing attitude. We're not running our mouth. We're not talking back. We're listening. Okay. Now, you don't have to agree with it all the time, but you should be listening. And if this coach is not for you, let's go find another one, right? I should say this, little caveat. We shouldn't quit because coach gave us some hard coaching within reason. Again, everything within reason, within balance. Because there is some bad stuff out there. I've seen it. Coaches cursing at their 5-year-old players. Like, what? We're not in high school. We're not in college. Like, is this the type of language you're using for everybody? Like, and I'm talking about cursing them out. Get your fat ass on the line, this, that, the, like, bro, what are we doing? As a parent, nope, I'm out. Not to my 5-year-old, not to my high school kid. It depends within reason, right? I think kids need to, let me be gentle with this. Some kids are soft today, okay? And they're not used to hard language. But bro, that's the world. We go and we play ball. Like, people are going to run their mouth and they're going to be using all kinds of colorful language. So there's something to be said, but that's in a different episode. We need to talk about that. So this right here, now she's going to get to the running portion. So let's watch this.
That one all the way to the top. Fix your body language.
She's telling her again, picks it up.
And if you don't sprint all the way to the top, we're doing another one. I got all day today. I'm free till about 1. So
now I think sometimes what doesn't help, or what some people might get aggressive with, or not aggressive with, just have problems with, is the sarcasm. Hey, that's the coach. That's the coach. I mean, if you know that this is the way the coach operates, because I'm a little sarcastic too every now and then, I'm not for you. Don't get mad for me being who I am, for what you signed up for. Okay? So, you gotta weigh these things. Parents, we gotta kind of like survey this coach. We gotta do our homework. We gotta do our research. Is this a good coach? Is this, gonna be good for my kiddo? Do we understand who this person is? If you do, and you sign up for it, hey, you signed up for it. That's on you. All right? Now, I get this. Look, if you're going to not give full effort on this run, on this consequence, we're going to do it again. Okay? Until you get the picture. Now, it can get to a point to where, let's just say the kid is giving as much as they can, but we don't find that satisfactory. We can send them going again and again and again and again. Now, that is problematic. So again, everything has to be balanced. I don't think this is problematic right here to get the best out of your athlete. Sometimes we need to do that. But again, what I'm doing after this whole thing is, hey, come on in. I know we messed up. Okay, let's just get it together. Okay. Sometimes you can't do that depending on the athlete. Sometimes they're stubborn. Sometimes they need to run more, right? And they know that there's grace, but you know what? Sometimes you need to go. And I'm not gonna bring you into my arms right now, metaphorically speaking, right? I'm not going to try and make you feel better. You need to sit in that guilt. You need to sit in that conviction. Let it do something to you, right? Let it frustrate you. Let it bring a little bit of shame, right, to your actions if they were negative. And then hopefully there comes a change of heart, right? So, yeah, let's get to the right.
Oh, we can stay out here. Set. Sprint hard, sprint hard, sprint hard. Phoenix, you jogging. Please don't make me start you over. Speed up. Them's cute.
Okay, at the end, I can't stand these kids. I know she loves them, right? You know, you could see that there's love in there. Because here's the thing: if you don't have love and care for these kids, you're not gonna tell them nothing. You're just gonna let them slide. Okay, a lot of the times you're just gonna let them slide. Let me know if you agree with that in the comments. I think the tough conversations that I've had with my athletes, you know, and me demonstrating a little bit of emotion was not coming from a place of, anger per se or resentment. No, I'm trying to convey this to you to help you be the best version of you because I want the best for you. You know what I mean? We got to catch these things quick and we got to nip it in the butt. We got to be real with ourselves. You say you want to be a good player. Okay. Are you ready to do the things that will make you a good player? You say you are. Okay. Look, I'm going to give you some homework. Let's go do that. You don't do it. Okay. We're going to have a conversation. Okay. Anyways, let's get to the comment section on this. All right. So let's get to the comment section. But before we do, let's read the description from Coach. As a coach, I don't play with these kids when it comes to attitude and respect. My little Phoenix was having a bad day. I like that right there. My little Phoenix. That shows affection, that shows care, that shows a little bit of love, right? These are the things that I mentioned, right? And she's showing her the way. Really, she's discipling her. Hey, this type of attitude doesn't fly. Her attitude was terrible towards me and her father. We had to get that together real quick. Personal development is more important to me than performance. I like that too. I don't care how good you are. If your attitude sucks, you'll always be average. Couple things about that. Coaches are not just there to instruct in the X's and O's, unless that's exactly what you want. That's what you're going for. Find that coach for that. But coaches deal with the issues of the heart a lot of times, right? Now, in the Christian worldview, we understand that we are all sinful people, that we do sinful things, and that in particular, children need help with restraining these sinful urges, desires, and actions. And so we need to instruct them in the way that they should go. And hopefully one day they will never depart. I probably butchered that scripture, but you get the idea there. And so it's important that we not just deal with the external, but also deal with the heart. And that's not our primary responsibility as coaches. That's actually moms and dads. But let's just say moms and dads, are struggling to do the job. Maybe they're working 3 jobs and they don't really see you. That is the position where coaches can step up in that regard. And so I think it's important to not just deal with the external, but the whole person. And so I think that's what we see here as well. So let's get to these comments. All right, number one, Irene Martinez. I love every bit of this. I find it challenging on how to discipline my fourth grader, and this inspired me for some ideas. Okay, so if you're struggling to discipline your fourth grader, I would say, what are you reading at home? Who are you around? Things like that. I'm not here to diagnose Irene's, comment or anything like that. But I think it's interesting, when it comes to sports and attitudes and efforts and things like that and discipline, again, those things start at home. Watch my episode from on Patrick Beck David and his interaction with kids that came to his house and were a little disrespectful and my thoughts on that. But I think the most important thing that you can do is start at home. It's called home training. That's what the old folks used to say. The old mothers at my church used to say, you don't have that good at home training. You got to make sure that you lock that down. And what is that? Well, at home training was like teaching your kids respect, teaching your kids discipline, teaching your kids self control. So when they step out into the world, they conduct themselves in a proper way. Okay. That they are responsible, that they are respecting those in positions of authority, that they are not running their mouth, that they're not being disrespectful, that they're not wasting anybody's time. That's super important. Let's keep going. Moni Love Jordan. All the people commenting, this video is too rough. Clearly never played sports and probably got bad kids. Laugh out loud. She didn't raise her voice. She talked to her clearly and explained everything thoroughly. I guarantee she will be a better athlete in person with these experiences. I agree. Like, look, if you never played sports and if you never coached, you don't understand this, right? Again, we've talked about this. There's caveats to it. You can definitely go too far, and we'll get to those videos. We'll react to those videos, and we'll call people out. But this right here, she talked to her pretty calm, right? She was a little sarcastic, right? She was all up in her face a little bit. Some people need that. But I think this young lady is going to benefit for it if she sticks with it. And again, let's go back to that description. My little phoenix, right? She cares for her. She has affection towards her. Let's not forget that, right? Let's move on. I can't stand these kids. Sounds about right. Okay, that was at the end. See that was uncalled for. Coach, that was uncalled for. We don't need that. I love that she made her look at her. That's a social skill some people don't have. Those without the skill, those without that skill, when conflict arises, they don't know how to look at people in the eye, which will escalate or perpetuate issues, potentially causing more problems. Yeah, potentially. I love that you are prioritizing respect. These kids don't know respect nowadays. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some kids that are very respectful. I've coached some kids that are wonderful kids, wonderful children, and you can just see that that comes from home. That comes from mom and dad. That's just such a beautiful thing, and it's such a beautiful mark on mom and dad when a kid comes to practice. Yes, sir. No, sir. Listening, attentive, gives great effort, has a great attitude, struggles sometimes, but still is willing to work through it. Those are the best kids. And to those parents, I say kudos. Keep it up. Keep going. Right. Here we go. We got a long one right here. Let's get into this one. Somatic trauma therapist here. Body language doesn't get fixed, only suppressed, masked. What's going on with her? What's going on with her. Also, when kids look away as they're being scolded, it is healthy nervous system regulation to not focus the eyes. So we would do well if we want to keep their prefrontal cortex engaged to allow them to emotionally regulate. And oftentimes that is happening in body language. Okay. I can see that. Right. She's bringing in the science with this. Right. I can see that, some kids as a response, a natural body response. They kind of like just look over there because they don't want that conflict. They don't want that smoke, right? But that doesn't apply for all situations, I would say, right? We need kids to focus and learn and attention. And this is not the only time that kids do that. They do this when you're just coaching regularly and they're just not listening. This is what happens, right? So I'd say yes and no. So we would all do well if we want to keep the prevent. Okay, we got that part. Slunched shoulders are protecting their heart. The movement is actually quite healthy, but would be better framed as I can tell you've got some big feelings right now. Let's run them out of your body and then let's talk about it. Running is all obviously a gift for this little girl. We don't want to turn kids' passions into punishments. Yes and no. It depends on what level you're competing at, right? What's your goals here? I think using some physical reinforcement is healthy, right? It teaches us, especially guys, boys, right? Hey, that behavior is not acceptable. Get on the line. I don't want that anymore, right? That's my thought process on it. That was my thought process when I was a kid. We were running our mouth. People were popping off, not paying attention. Get on the line. Do some push-ups, burpees, whatever it is. Man, stop all that talking. Stop all that. That was my thoughts towards my teammates. Like, hey, man, focus up, bro. Come on, dog. We don't want this no more. I don't want this. Like, I just want to focus on the sport. And again, you can go too far, like we've talked about this whole entire episode. So I think this is important. I think we got to have balance. It's important to bring in the science. I don't know if this is like, legit. We would have to look it up. But I like her perspective on this, right? Fixing the attitude with some altitude. Okay. It's uncalled for, but it's good. Anyways, let's bring this video to a wrap, guys. We talked about this from all different angles. I think her approach, Sabrina Parr's approach, was thoughtful. I can think it was, a come to Jesus moment for the little athlete who she got early on. We see a lot of young ones get that, but I think it's important that she should also care for it. It looks like for her host that there's more care to this. Like there's seeing things we don't see, right? More confidence, right? And then if there's not, the parent has to make a wise decision to move on. This is not that type of coach. We got to go, right? So you and parents got to evaluate coach that you go on to work with, and then make proper decisions, right? You're getting a little bit of tough love. And the coach just give you a tough love and no mercy, go, right? But if they are doing both, let's assume that this is trouble. If they like it, if they enjoy the coach, right? But you gotta decide, you gotta see, is this good care or is this bad care, right? So, all right, we are at the end of the video. If you like that, go ahead and subscribe to the Gay Podcast. Also, so I want to know your thoughts. Am I writing this? Am I off on this? I want to know in the comments. Is this good coaching? Is this bad coaching? Let me know. And also, hit that notification button. You know when you drop the next one. All right. Catch you in the next one.